Hi everybody, this is a critique feedback on Reese Crane's video assignment. He did a great job on this thing, and I'm just going to take you through it very quickly. Here we go.
Okay, so this is Reese Crane, and this is my assignment for statistical analysis. It looks like we've got the website up and running. Everything's good to go. So what I did, I looked at the hypothesis, and it's actually what I'm doing for domestic violence class, but mandatory arrest in domestic violence cases reduce recidivism amongst offenders. So the theory is that by instituting laws that have mandatory arrest policies on offenders, it will reduce the amount of times that they offend. So I looked at a research study that was out of Minnesota. My explanation I wrote here, based on research studies of offenders involved in domestic violence and police action, offenders were less likely to reoffend. So the dependent variable was repeated incidents of domestic violence. These were people who had been arrested on one occasion within a 17-month period. And so the dependent variable was going to be if they were arrested again. The independent variable was going to be the officer's decision to arrest, and you'll see on the graph here in a minute, there were three different ways that officers could handle these cases when they responded to them.
Okay, just very briefly, just to recap what he just said, is the dependent variable is arrest or not. Excuse me, what I mean to say is the dependent variable is rearrested or not. And then in other words, recidivism or not, yes or no. It's a nominal variable. You're either in the category or you're not. You either got arrested or you didn't. And the independent variable is also a nominal variable depending on which treatment the officer decided to go with. Mandatory arrest, which is legislative, or if they just advised consent, or if they removed them from the home, ordered them away from the home. So those are the three conditions, and we're going to see how the arrests varied over those three treatment conditions.
The sample used 53 participating officers from the Minneapolis Police Department, went about 17 months, and included about 330 cases. The only variable that I could figure could be controlled would be the officer's actions. Each individual officer had the discretion to handle the case as they saw fit. As far as observations, that was conducted using incident reports, arrest reports, and there were also interviews of the victims. So some of these cases maybe weren't arrested the second time, but there were cases that were reported through the victims. So again, 53 officers were used there from the Minneapolis Police Department. The three options that they had were to advise or mediate the dispute between the parties, remove the primary aggressor, have the person leave, or make an arrest. And again, the study spanned 17 months and totaled 330 cases. So this is a bar graph chart, I guess, that I just put together real quickly. And it shows when arrests were made, 10% of the offenders who were arrested committed another act of domestic violence within the time period of the study. Of the offenders who officers handled their cases by advising, mediating the case, 19% of those that were arrested for one occasion, that were involved in one occasion of domestic violence were involved in another. And the third one, where the offender was removed, which was made to leave the house or forced to go somewhere else, those people committed another act of domestic violence at a rate of about 24%.
So, very briefly, we're seeing that the treatment group that was arrested, only 10% was rearrested, but advised content, only this percentage was rearrested, and of the those that were removed from the home, a whole bunch more. So we can see that the treatment group is more effective as we go from arrest to advising consent to remove from the home, or I should say less effective as we go down that marker. So we can see there's variability between the three treatment groups on the dependent variable yes, no, rearrest.
So the graph seems to prove the theory that arrest, mandatory arrest, does reduce the rate of recidivism amongst domestic violence offenders.
Okay, now when we say seems to prove, it doesn't prove anything, because that we can only demonstrate evidence and therefore proof if we have statistical analysis. These are just descriptive statistics, so they don't give us the analysis that we will get into later in the semester to let us know if this treatment was more effective, that is, arrest is more effective at reducing recidivism than, say, removal from the home. Anyway, that's Reese's video. He did a great job, and thank you, Reese, to that, and I hope I can get this up so that everybody can understand it. See you on the next critique.